Hi, my name is Leena B. I'm hosting the International Belly Dance Fusion Festival on Women's Day in Bombay. I've been doing a fair amount of fusion work myself. I've been into belly dance for a couple of years now, and I've been dabbling in Kathak fusion, flamenco fusion, burlesque fusion, and I find fusion work really interesting. Yeah, there are a couple of ideas brewing in my mind for a while, like rivulets, and it culminated in this festival. I think for me, I've always seen belly dance as very amenable, very versatile, and it lends itself to fusion really well. And you can really fuse various different forms of dance, from contemporary to Kathak to burlesque to Lavani to tribal to many different things fuse really beautifully, and hence that was one of the reasons. I have felt this need for a while now. I've traveled many countries, backpack solo in Southeast Asia, Europe, Brazil, and many people have asked me, like, how do you manage, like, didn't you feel like nervous to travel alone, to do all these solo trips? But my answer has usually been this, that I feel more unsafe in my home country than I have felt in all these places, including Egypt, where I was there for 6 months doing dance training, and I felt totally safe there, walking in the middle of the night on various dark streets even. And this need became rather acute when I participated in the India Gate protests in December 23rd, 2012. I was sitting in front of the TV and I saw this happening on Saturday, and I was like, wait a minute, I really can't see this happening and without jumping right in. I decided to jump into the protests. On Sunday 23rd, all the metro stations were shut down closer to India Gate, and that was infuriating in itself, because that is the first approach, or the primary approach, to shutting people's voices. I did land up there, and the protests were pretty peaceful for a couple of hours. And though there was tear gas being thrown every 3 to 5 minutes, and that's kind of pretty scary or dangerous for my eye condition, which a lot of my close friends know that I do suffer from a very severe eye condition. So despite that, I stuck around, and I think what was the most gruesome thing that could happen was the police, the so-called legitimate guardians of our society, come raining down with lathis, tear gas and water cannons. And worst of all, they come suddenly, and they come from 3 sides. Yeah, it was winter, and everybody was dressed obviously in winter jackets and coats and sweaters, which totally got wet. So imagine it's cold outside and you're shivering within your clothes itself, and you had to also run. And on top of that, the policemen were hurling abuses at women. They were having a great time. They were like, तुम क्या यहाँ पे आशिकी करने के लिए आई थी? अगर तुम नहीं भागोगी फटाफट तो मैं ये लाठी तुम्हारे अंदर घुसा दूंगा. They were actually saying things like that. Anyways, we were running, and what we noticed was the police was actually surrounding us from 3 sides. And on the 4th side, they were coming from here, here, and here. On the 4th side, there was a wall. And it was very scary, and at that point I remember just losing it for a few seconds, because I just let out a prayer thinking, okay, this is the end of it. I don't even know when I'm going to see my sister or my family again, because they were clearly out to scare us. And not only scare us, I thought I would like lose my life at that point. Anyway, there was a gate which was a part of the wall, and we broke that. There was a huge stampede, and everything was wet. All the roads were wet because of the water cannons, and there were shrubs and construction pipes, and we had to jump over all of that. And 3 times I fell. My slipper came off once, and there was lots of men falling over me as well with their thick jackets. It was a nightmare. At some point, I didn't even have the courage, to get up. Like I was wet and cold, and there's adrenaline, and I was just tormented. And but I just had to find the courage and the pluck to get up and keep running, and finally found my way to safety. That night I could barely sleep, and I kept asking myself, is this the price I pay for finding my own voice? And needless to say, I did not dare to return to the protest the next day, because I was fearful of being seriously injured. But I did not want my voice to be quietened as they intended. Yeah, in a quest to find my voice, my sanity, was dreaming of a collective, a gathering of women, and dancing was, I felt, a great medium to do that. So what is my intention for this festival? I'd say to create an awareness and consciousness that this living and accepting the shadows of this patriarchal umbrella is not okay. It's not, at least for me, it's not conducive to my growth, to express myself fully as a woman, uninhibited, unharassed, without feeling vulnerable. I would want and choose an environment where I can express myself freely, walk on the roads and feel good in my body, feel sensual, feel uninhibited. That's a society I think that we deserve. And more so as belly dancers, you know, wherein we are in situations and on stage and wearing like two-piece costumes and even traveling at odd hours for shows. I think it's very important that we make clear that just because we choose this profession does not mean that we are immoral, or we suffer from low IQ, or we don't have anything better to do, and that we are out to titillate men, and we do not have choices, other choices in life. So I think, you know, so breaking these conditionings is really is one of the endeavors of what I'm trying to do through this festival. And we have amazing teachers on board, we have amazing students, amazing people who are associated, and I think who totally understand this, and I think it's great that we are as a collective channeling that thought. And yes, willy-nilly it will reach to the people it needs to reach, and it will take its time, but I'm happy to plant that seed. So I'd invite all women to come forward and participate, and at any level. If you want to do workshops, you want to do open stage, you want to do competition, you want to just do nothing and just come out and hang out with us at the venue, which is the Hive, which is a very beautiful community space. Feel free to do that, if you have, and I would really want to see women come and just express themselves. An open stage doesn't mean you do a whole choreography. Come and just do a 30-second piece. I'm totally open to that. Just come and share yourself, your beautiful self, in a place which I think would be very safe and very inclusive and very accepting of who you are. So we will have a flash mob as a part of the International Belly Dance Fusion Festival, which is slated for Women's Day, and I encourage everybody to come forward and participate in the flash mob. It will go under the 1 Billion Rising banner. 1 Billion Rising was a campaign started by Eve Ensler, the director of Vagina Monologues, and the 1 billion refers to it's a UN statistic which refers to 1 out of 3 women in the world is likely to be beaten or raped or molested. So I think it would be nice to tribute this flash mob to the 1 Billion Rising campaign, and what a better day to do that than Women's Day. So I welcome everyone to come and just show up. It doesn't matter whether you know the choreography fully or not, it totally doesn't matter. Your presence is really all that counts. So hope to see you at the flash mob.